All right, welcome everyone. Happy Wednesday. No, Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy to be streaming to you live today. We're going to be taking a second look at Adobe Spark. I just recently streamed about Adobe Spark post. I think it was last week, and that was my stream on using Spark for your business social media. And lo and behold, the Spark team released a new feature today that I think is equally important, and it's one of the things that people have been asking for a long time to do in Spark. So we're going to be talking about that today. So I'm streaming to you live today from LinkedIn. So I do at least one stream a week on LinkedIn for my business crowd. These are people that they're not necessarily photographers or designers, but they have to use design tools from time to time, or they have to be creative from time to time. So we try and reach that audience as well. And I see some folks over on LinkedIn. So I see Mary, Philip, Hilmar, Victoria, welcome. I also see some folks chiming in on YouTube, Roseanne, John, Eric, and Rudy. And of course, folks tuning in on Twitter as well. So thanks everyone for being here. And let's go ahead and dive into the new feature that just rolled out today. Let me switch over to my computer so you guys can see what I'm doing. I've got just a web browser open, as you know, or I mentioned yesterday, but last week. I won't go into it in full detail again, but Spark is both a web tool, a web app, as well as mobile apps for both iOS and Android. So if you are on hang on for a second, just checking something here. If you are on iOS, you have Spark Post, Spark Page, and Spark Video. Free apps you can go download from the App Store right now. Maybe wait till I'm done. And then you also have at least Spark Post on Android. I don't use an Android device, so I don't keep up with what's available on Android at any given time. But I know Spark Post is available on Android. And of course, if you don't have a mobile device or you want to use one of the other apps that's not available on your platform, you can do it all from spark.adobe.com, again for free. So everything I showed you last time was free except one thing, and that was using branding. And today we're going to talk about a new feature in branding. Again, not free, but it is included in any Creative Cloud plan. So if you're on the photography plan, if you're on the full app plan, if you're on any membership that you pay, you have access to the premium feature in Spark. And of course, if you say, I don't use any of that other stuff, I'm a business customer, but I would like to take advantage of this, then you can just subscribe to Spark. That is a plan as well. Not that I recommend it, because for that same $9.99 a month, you could subscribe to the photography plan and get Photoshop and get Lightroom and get Spark. So as I always say, if you're going to spend $10 a month, that's the best way to spend your $10. All right, so with that said, let's jump in. Joshua, thank you. Let's jump in and talk about what's new with branding. So first of all, even if you're on mobile, so if you're on iOS or Android, you have to use your web browser at least once to set up your brand. So even if you're on mobile, the setup feature for branding is only on the web. Once it's set up, you can use it on mobile all you want, but you have to create it on the web version. All right, so with that said, I'm going to show you exactly where you go do that. Hang on, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to eventually want to show you something. I'm going to want to show you this on a mobile device. So let me just get this set up so it'll be ready when I'm ready to switch over to it. So I'm just getting something going here on the side, and it looks like it is loading. Okay, so anyway, once you go to spark.adobe.com and you sign in with your Adobe ID, the same Adobe ID that you're using for your paid plan, then you would click on the Spark home logo, and that will take you to this area. This is an area where you can go and create a new Spark post, a new Spark video, a new Spark page. You can go do all of that right here. But over on the left-hand side, you'll see this new well, not new, but you'll see this updated category called brands. And when you go into brands, one second. When you go into brands, that's where you're going to go and see the new thing that you can do that people have been asking for. Sorry for the distraction here. I just want to make sure this is part of today. I just want to make sure it's going to be ready when I'm ready for it. All right, let's jump there. Okay, one more thing. And then I promise not to look over here again. This is what I want. Cool. Okay, so you're going to click on brands. And once you click on clicked on projects, you're going to click on brands. And then you will see either the create a brand or the brand you already have or have. So prior to today, you could only have one brand. But by popular demand, people wanted the ability to create multiple brands. So maybe it's because you want your personal brand, like I do. I have a Terry White personal brand, but I also work for Adobe, so I want to use Adobe logos and things from time to time when I'm doing social posts. Or maybe you're doing it, you freelance, and you're creating things for a client. Or maybe you just have a side hustle and you need a bunch of brands. Now you can create multiple brands at no additional cost. So in other words, you can have your personal brand, your work brand, your nonprofit brand, your church brand, your school brand. I'm just making stuff up as I go along. Whatever the brands are that you create things for, you can create them. Now, why is this important? I'm going to show you why. Because back when I created this first brand, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago when the feature first came out, I created my Terry White brand with my Terry White colors and my Terry White fonts, but you'll notice there's some other logos in here. There's an Adobe logo, there's a Rush logo, there's a Creative Cloud logo, there's all of these logos for stuff that I eventually ran into that I needed to create a post for and use these logos because I could only have the one brand. Well, now I can delete these. I don't need these clouding up. See what I did there? Creative Cloud. I don't need these clouding up my personal brand because I made a brand separately for these. So I can just get rid of all these extra ones I don't need. And then my Terry White brand is now just clean. It's just my stuff in it. And if I go back and look at the brands again, I have the Adobe brand with the Adobe colors and the Adobe logos and all the stuff that I would ever use for Adobe. So that stuff is all in its own separate brand ready to go. Okay. With that said, now we're going to dive into how to create yours. All right. So here we go. Go back to brands and you'll now have this option. I don't know if there's a limit on how many you can create, but you can certainly create more. Yes, Jeff. Oh, really? Yes, today. As of today, you can have many more. I don't know if there is a limit or what that limit is, but certainly more than 2 because I'm about to create a third one. All right, so let's go ahead and create a third brand. And it just walks you through the steps. So step 1, upload a logo for your brand. Now, I recommend, they say it could be JPEG or PNG. I recommend if it's a logo that you want to be able to see through, like there's parts of it that you want to be able to see through, well, the only file format that supports transparency of the two is PNG. So, for example, most people's logos are in vector format. So if you did it in Illustrator or can open it up in Illustrator, export that out as a PNG, and then you can import that in and it will maintain the transparency. However, if your logo is just a solid logo and that doesn't matter, then you can use either one. You can use JPEG or PNG. All right, so I already have my logo in there. I already have the Adobe logo in there. So I went through the process of making up a new brand for us to use today. So I'm going to go ahead and click Upload Brand. And I'm going to go into my Creative Cloud demo folder, into my Illustrator folder. And in my Illustrator folder, I've got this logo called solarhomelogo.png. So that's a ping file. We're just going to go ahead and open it up. There we go. And it will upload the logo into Spark. So looking good, meaning that it worked. It can see the whole logo. It's there. All right, now next thing. This is why you do this in order. Because by uploading the logo first, it also not only got your logo, but it also got the color. So if I go ahead and pick a color, it's already grabbed colors from the logo. Now I could go in and put in a hexadecimal code for a custom color, which most people would want their exact brand colors, and that's where you would get your brand colors from. Or you can mix it if you don't like, it doesn't have to be that precise, or you're doing this on the fly for a new brand. You can mix it to whatever you want it to be. But in this case, I'm going to go with the blue color of the logo, and then I'm going to go ahead and save. So then that becomes my color. And look at what it's doing over here. It's already building samples of what this would look like. So there's my logo. There it is with that blue background. There's my logo on all of these samples, Spark posts or videos or pages. So it's already incorporating my logo everywhere that I create it. Now, the third part of a brand that people tend to want: logo, colors, and your font. And this has also come a long way since it was first introduced, because when you go in, well, that if your font is one of the Adobe fonts, great. But what if you had a custom font made by someone else, or you're using another foundry, you're using non-Adobe fonts, you're using some other brand? Well, now you can upload an Opentype font to be able to be used in your branding. So if you don't have an Adobe font to use, you can upload yours. So for example, Adobe has a corporate font that only Adobe uses. It's not part of Adobe Creative Cloud. It's not something people can buy. It's called Adobe Clean. It's our corporate font. So when I created that Adobe brand, which we'll go back and look at it, I uploaded Adobe Clean into that brand because that's Adobe's official font for Adobe's official business. So this is why this is important, is because people are not only going to want their exact colors, their exact logo, they're going to want to use their corporate fonts if they've determined any. If not, then you can use whatever you want. So since I'm making this up as I go along, I'll use Lato Bold as the corporate font. And now it's starting to build things as samples with that font as well. Now, you might be saying, well, what if I have more than one logo? What if I want to use more than one color? What if I want to use more than one font? Maybe there's a bold and there's a thin and there's a light and there's a orange color of that logo and there's a logo that's reversed out. There's a logo on a solid color. Once you create all of this initially and click next and name your brand, I'm going to call this one Solar Home. There we go. And create your brand. Then you can, and hang tight, it's doing it. Then you can go back in and add anything else you want. So if you want to add more logos, like I did, remember I had a Lightroom logo, a Photoshop logo, a Creative Cloud logo, the Adobe logo in the Adobe brand. You can add as many more logos as you need. You can add as many more colors as you're going to need. You can add as many more fonts as you're going to need. You just need to create those initial 3 first. Then you go back in and add whatever else. So if I needed to add a second version of the logo, some people have a tall logo, some people have it sideways, some people have it on black, some people have it on white. So that way you can add in all the different versions of your logo so that they're accessible to you when you're creating Spark content. And notice I said Spark content, not necessarily just Spark post content, because this branding is available on Spark Post, Spark Page, and Spark Video. So even if you want a branded video with your logo in the lower left corner as a lower third, you can do that built right in. All right, the next thing is, let's say I want to add more colors, which I do. So the blue was great. It picked that up right from the logo, and I can change that if that's not the exact color I need. But let's say I want to add in a different one. Well, if I want to add in more colors, one of the things and I'm Spark team, I know you're watching this at some point. It'd be great if you gave me the logo choices again, because there was another orange in there I wanted to grab. But nonetheless, I'm going to do it the other way. I want to go in and go back. I'll go to Photoshop where I've got this logo opened up already. And I want this exact orange, like right up here at the top, not the darker version. I want this version at the very top. So I'm just going to grab my eyedropper, click on that exact orange that I want. It will make that my foreground color. I can double click on my foreground color, which is over there. That'll bring up the color sampler with that orange that I selected. And more importantly, it'll give me the hex code down here at the bottom. Now, I'm going to copy this and paste it in. Hopefully this will work because they told me there might be a bug with this today. It worked. Okay. So if you paste that in and it doesn't change the color, that is a bug they're aware of and they're working on it. It should be fixed by Monday. Actually, it's already fixed. It should go live by Monday. But it looks like it's already working for me now. So that's the orange that I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and that will add that color. And I'll just keep adding more colors. So if there's another color in that logo I want, let's say I also want black, because obviously, we want black. Copy that, paste that in. It gives me that exact shade of black. And let's say that I also want the darker blue. So I get all the colors for my logo that I need. And the reason why you want to use multiple colors whenever possible is because when it's building your Spark content, it'll use as much of your brand in the background as possible. So instead of it picking random colors or colors from the photo, it'll use your colors. And so that's why it's important to build these in. And Christine, yes, I think this is great. I think this is why I'm showing it today. I think it's awesome. Let's go, just having fun making colors here. Let's go grab one more. I did the darker blue. Okay, let's do the darker orange. I didn't do the darker orange. All right, so we got the darker orange now. Copy that. And we're going to just pretend of this new solar home company, that these are all their colors for their brand. Okay, so now I got the colors in place. Now, what about those fonts? Now, typically, like I said, if you're doing something for your company or a client, they'll tell you, hey, our corporate font is blah, blah, blah. And again, you go get that font and upload it. But if you're building this on your own and you don't know what the font is, there's a way to find that out, or at least get close, because maybe you won't be able to get it exact. Maybe you're using a logo that was created 50 years ago, and there is no font. It was all made by hand, whatever that may be. So it'd be nice if we were typing things in from time to time in a font that complemented our logo. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I'm going to close the color picker because I'm done with that. Actually, I'm going to switch it to black first. Then I'm done with that. All right, so now, and let me deselect. I just have the logo here, and I kind of want a font that looks like solar, and I kind of want a font that looks like home, and I don't know what those are because these aren't type anymore. This is just an image. There's no font here. This is just one layer with no text. So it's like I took a picture of it or scanned it in. There's no text there. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to click my type tool. I'm going to click up here. I'm going to type the word solar. And of course, that's whatever font I was on last. It's not the right font. And then I'm going to take that same layer and duplicate it. Oops, sorry, I trashed it. I meant duplicate. There we go. We're going to duplicate it. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and pull that down. So now we have a second copy, and that second copy, we're going to call that one home. All right, so both of those are not in the right font. Let's deal with solar first, and we'll worry about home. All right, so I'm going to click back on the solar layer, which we move that up to the top just for organizational sake. Now I've got the solar layer selected, and I've got the solar image, because that's not real font. That's not a real type here. I've got that showing, but I'm on the solar text layer. So what I want Photoshop to do is do its best to try and find me a font that looks like that solar. And the reason I type solar is so I'll know if it really looks like it or not, instead of using sample text or just guessing. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rectangular marquee tool to select the image. There we go. I still have the solar layer selected. So still on the solar layer, but I made a selection around what I want it to look for. Go to my type menu, and there's a feature in Photoshop called Match Font. So when I choose Match Font, that will go out and it will look for type on your system and type in Creative Cloud that looks as close to that font as it thinks it has. So in other words, this is Adobe Sensei powered artificial intelligence trying to guess what that font looks like based on the fonts you already have. And these aren't necessarily all Adobe fonts. And based on the fonts that you do have as part of Creative Cloud. So I can go now, and this is why I typed the word solar, so I can click and say, oh, nope, that one doesn't look like it. That one doesn't look like it enough. That one doesn't look like it. Oh, wait, that one actually was kind of close. Yeah, I could live with that. But I like the bolder version better. Oh, great. Now I know that that's Handle Gothic D. Handle Gothic D is the font that I need if I want to add that font to my brand. And because that is an Adobe font, it's got the Creative Cloud logo on it, I could go search for that font. I haven't tried that in Spark. I don't know if I can actually search. I should be able to search. More. No more. I don't know if I can add fonts this way, but I would add the font even if I have to download it first. I don't know if I can do it that way. But I would add that font now that I know what the font is. All right, suggested pairings. Yeah, I don't know that I could do a search here. Just give me some random choices. And I don't want to upload a font. But anyway, now I kind of know what that font is, and I'll figure out how to upload that in a minute here. All right, so now we'll go ahead and click OK, because that one's done. I'll move my selection over to the word home, and then we'll select the word home, the one we typed, and then we'll go in and we'll say match font as well. And the same thing, it's kind of looking at fonts that you have. It's looking at fonts that you don't have synced yet, and it's giving you those choices as to try and find it. So I'm looking at, in this case, I'm looking at the O in home, and I'm looking at the M and how it's a little bit more spread out. So again, it's basing it on, these are the fonts I have installed. They may or may not be a good match. And it's not always going to be perfect because, again, it depends on the font. So I just told it to sync this last one to see what it looks like. It's kind of close. Let me see. No. Better. Maybe if it were thinner. Oh, also I need to look at the E because the E has rounded corners. So not rounded, not rounded, not rounded. That's rounded. So that's why I picked that one first. So maybe a thinner version of that if it exists, but that's kind of what I would do. So that's how you can find fonts. By the way, that's kind of a bonus tip that has nothing to do with Spark, but that's how you can find fonts that you may not know what they are. All right, so we go back to Spark. Now, the reason I told you that I was working down here on a device is because I wanted to show you something else now. So we got our brand started, ready to go. And I know I can create 4 because here's another create button. Anyway, like I said, I don't know if there is a limit, but you can certainly create a few. I've got Spark running on my iPad. The only reason I'm not using my phone is because my phone's running part of the stream. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to show you my... I'll show you my iPad in just a second here. I just want to check to make sure that this is doing what I want. And yes, it is. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to use it once you've created it. Let me get out of this. And nope, that. Okay. So let me see if I can show you my iPad now. And we're going to do a little QuickTime. And we're going to do a little new recording. Not me in the studio. We're going to switch it to hopefully my iPad. Yep, there it is, Terry White's iPad Pro. Just thinking about it. There it goes. Now I can bring it over. Okay, so here's my iPad Pro running Spark, post. Pull that out from behind me. All right, so let me get out of it so you guys can see what I did. So there's my folder of Spark Post, Spark Page, Spark Video, and all my other Adobe apps. I went into Spark Post like that. And then I went in. Let me get out of that. Okay, then I can pick any one of these templates. I can search for templates. I can go by categories. So let's say I'm going by business, since we are talking to a business crowd. And let's say that you are having I don't know, let's pick something here. Let's say you're having a sale. It looks like everything in business is on sale. So you're having a sale. I'm just trying to decide which one I want. All right, we'll use this one just for the sake of example. All right, you're having a sale, 25% off this week. Of course, you can change any of this. I'm going to remix this template. Remixing, which means it's going to download it and give it to me to use. There it is. It's adding the sparkle of fonts there. And down at the very bottom, there's a button almost on the end that says brand. So all the other stuff is free, all the stuff we talked about last week that you would normally be able to do. But we're going to go ahead and tap on brand. And now there's a new button, switch brands. That's brand new as of today. So you need to download the updated apps as well. So that's why I was doing that stuff on the side. I was making sure this iPad was up to date. Switch brand, and there it is, the solar home brand we just made, plus the Adobe one I made earlier today, and my default Terry White brand that's been there since the beginning of this. All right, so I'm going to tap on solar. That's the one it switched to. Now, if I tap the Brandify button, it applies that brand to this template. So I just tap the Brandify, and there's the logo in the upper left corner or upper right corner. Change the color of the type to match the color of our brand. And if I keep tapping that, it'll keep making changes to it based on the brand. So you can go with whatever you want. And of course, you could change the photo. You could change all that stuff that you would normally change. You want to move the logo. You don't want it up there. You can move it down here. You want to make the logo bigger, make the logo bigger. You can do whatever you want. Now, this would be another reason, by the way, that I would also have a version of the logo with white type, because we can't see that black type on this background. So in this case, if I only have this one version of the logo, that photo has to change. So I go back to the photo, and I would replace the photo with a solid color, something that dark black would show up on, maybe that color, maybe that color, maybe a color from the brand. All of those work. Those are colors from the brand. And then I can go ahead and do whatever else I want to do. So for example, maybe I want to also change the layout. And instead of it being 1 up, I want to make it maybe 2 up. And that way I can go in and change the bottom to a solid color again. Let's change it to solid colors. Place. Why am I drawing a blank here? Replace that with. No. Hang on. Sorry. Oh, it's already a color, so I need to edit the color. Sorry about that. Edit the color and change it to the lighter blue, or maybe even white. Let's go with white there. We can make this smaller, and then we can go up here and have fun all we want, because this we can replace with a photo. So let's go and find a photo, search free photos, solar panels. And I can find a photo I like that I want to put up there. Let's do this one. So these are royalty-free photos. That's why they're in the free photo section, and you can then use them any way you want. So now I'm not liking these letters, so actually I'm just going to delete them because they're no longer fitting my vibe. And then I can go here Move that up. And now I don't like that color. So I can go to my style wheel and keep changing that until I find something I like better. So many choices, so little time. All right, just turning the style wheel. I'm going to settle on something for the sake of time. I'll settle on that. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't like it centered. Let's make it left align. And then we can go in, put that there, make the logo bigger. Every client in the world says that. Here's our button. And we'll put our button in place. Smart Guides helping me keep everything aligned. And now I've used my custom brand in a new Spark post, grabbed a free photo, and away I go with ready to post this. And if I wanted to resize it for the specific platform I'm going to post it on, the resize button is there, which I'd probably recommend you do that first before you tweak it and get it just right. But you can resize it, and it will try and do its best to resize and keep everything looking good. All right, so with that said, that is the new multiple brand feature in Spark, in Adobe Spark. And again, Adobe Spark itself is free to use. Anyone can download the apps and start using them and playing with them. The branding feature is a paid feature for those that are already on Creative Cloud or those that just want to subscribe to Spark, because that's all you need. And then away you go. All right, so with that said, hopefully I got this across to you guys to where you'll go play now. The E isn't matching. Yeah, I know. Like I said, it's going to get close, but not perfect. Just make sure I'm not missing any lingering questions. I think I see everything I saw. All right. Just check. I don't see anything on Twitter. Don't see anything more on LinkedIn. All right, so with that said, thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. By the way, speaking of next one, my new photography show, for those of you who are interested in photography, starts tomorrow, Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on behance.net. So I'll be live on Behance for an hour every Friday morning that I'm in town, starting tomorrow morning, talking about photography, doing shoots, doing editing, talking about Lightroom, talking about Photoshop, doing all this stuff. So Friday is now dedicated to photography. So with that said, cheers everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. See you tomorrow on Behance. Bye everybody. Have a good one.